Hey, everybody, it's Natalie Bensavanga, and welcome to another edition of Facts Over Fear. I've got a great show for you tonight. We're talking about what is going on with ICE and what we can do nationally and in our communities to fight back. So, a little background. Minneapolis and communities across the country are taking a stand against ICE, against CBP, and the Department of Homeland Security following a series of deadly and high-profile incidents, including the murders of Alex Pretti, Renee Nicole Good, and Geraldo Campos. The advocacy group 5051 is organizing the ICE Out of Everywhere National Day of Action on January 31st, along with campaigns like No Housing for ICE, hashtag Don't Serve ICE, and efforts to pressure pro-ICE Democratic representatives. Today, I'm chatting with Sarah Parker, national spokesperson. Hello. You are the national spokesperson for 5051 and the executive director of Voices of Florida and Voices of Florida Fund. We're going to talk today about why you're mobilizing, what these campaigns aim to achieve, and how Americans can get involved in demanding accountability and the permanent removal of ICE from our streets. Sarah, thanks so much for taking time out of your busy day.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm running through the halls of Tallahassee right now, trying to fight for everyone. So I appreciate taking that time so that we can talk about this a little bit more.
Absolutely. So we'll get right to it. Can we talk a little bit about the goal of ICE Out Everywhere? Why now? What was the catalyst specifically that triggered this operation to get into place on January 31st?
Yeah, I think it's like a ramp up, right? Like we had ICE Out for Good. Alex Pretti died. Let's say the right way. Alex Pretti was executed in 4K. And we know that people want to do something. They want to mobilize. They want to stand in solidarity in Minneapolis. And even as we're seeing like Chief Bovino leave, right, we know that could mean that they're going somewhere else. And we really want to go heavy on the abolish ICE ICE actions, not only because of that, but because we're also seeing people that are supposed to be on our side, right? Saying that they were going to fund DHS, knowing that they're murdering American citizens and kidnapping and terrorizing our neighbors and using little boys, our children. I'm a mother. I have a 6-year-old. Children to lure parents out of the house. So, 5051 follows the people. We're not very top down, we're bottom up. And we had an obligation in that moment to rise and to resist.
So let's talk a little bit about this actual day of action on January 31st. What is going to be happening? How can people activate? Because I'm always sharing with people, there are so many ways to join in this resistance against fascism in all its forms across the country. And 5051 is just one of those many pieces to that puzzle. So what specifically is going on January 31st?
Yeah, we're asking people to do what we've done since last year. Hit the streets, get out there, be in community, let people know in your community that ICE is not welcome. Let ICE know that they are not welcome, and show resistance even to our Democratic representatives that are on the fence. We're also asking people to join the Don't Serve ICE, No Homes for ICE, or No Houses for ICE campaign as well. So kind of lead into that. And as we lead into that, we're going to also be leading into 217, where we're going to ask our representatives not to fund ICE, right? We know this weekend may go either way. And then into March 28th, which is No Kings. So pretty much we're following the people. We're expecting, thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people to mobilize. You can go to 5050.1 for more information. And that's not the numbers, that's the letters, 5050.1 to find out more. And I think, to your point about like everyone having a puzzle piece, I've been an organizer since Occupy and Black Lives Matter. And like, sometimes it's even hard for me because I'm like, get out in the streets, do mutual aid. You need to train people, and some other stuff that I'm not going to say. Like all these things are really important, right? And like I have to recognize that multiple people have a position in this fight. We're all puzzles. We're all pieces of the big puzzle, right?
Yeah.
So if mutual aid's your thing, if doing ICE Watch trainings is your thing, if donating is your thing, if going out and protesting and holding a sign is your thing, all of those things are important in this moment. I do encourage people, though, to continue to get uncomfortable. I like to say that comfortability is a privilege, and right now we have to forego that privilege, right? So if your level is, I just like to give out food to the homeless people, I advise you to go to a protest. If your level is, I like to hold up a sign, I advise you to try mutual aid or go to a training, right? And start doing safety with people. We have to build our resistance. And we have to sustain that resistance. I think that we're 1/3 of the way through the tunnel. And I know that's sad for people, but I know that my ancestors were able to do it. And I think if we all come together, then we'll all be able to do it.
No, I love that sentiment. And I wanted to talk a little bit about the political accountability aspect of this. You mentioned targeting the pro-ICE Democratic representatives. How does the primary pro-ICE Democrats campaign work? Why is holding our elected officials accountable so important? Because there's a lot of people out there that have kind of written off this system entirely, and they're just like, what's it matter? What's it matter who's in power? I hear a lot of sort of that helplessness, hopelessness. So talk to me about the importance of accountability.
I think it's really important when we look at races generally, right? Like your county, your school board, your House of Reps, your Senate. Some of those votes are decided by 1,000, 10,000, or 100 votes, right? And I think that we elected these people to serve us. And that means, like, though we don't have direct democracy in that moment, that they should act in behest of those people that elected them, right? Like, we're seeing a lot of people talk about it, put out a statement. And honestly, respectfully, I think 50-51 and us, we're done with the statements. We need you out in the streets. We need you organizing, and we need you doing things. Just recently in the Florida State House, Representative Angie Nixon just filed an unmasked ICE bill. Those are the kind of things we need to be seeing at a state legislator level, and then continuing up, And also when people come into races, like I believe she's also about to run for Senate against Attorney General Ashley Moody, well, she was the Attorney General. And in that, this person's pro-ICE, right? And she's not, they don't care. And they don't care because they want us, they don't care because we placate them. We lose hope. We don't actually show up in the way that we need to, and we don't put pressure on them. And I think that that's why we've gotten to where we have. We get complacent, right? And we can't get complacent in this time. If we elected you, and I mean like our side, right? If we elected you, you need to do what we want, and it's very clear. If I turn on Facebook, I turn on Instagram, I turn on the news, very clear that we do not want funds going to DHS.
Yeah. If you're just joining me, I'm Natalie Bencivenga. I'm here with Sarah Parker. She's the national spokesperson for 5051 and executive director of Voices Florida and Voices of Florida Fund. When we're looking at this from a legal or a moral framework, Sarah, we're framing these actions in a sense as a moral duty to resist unjust laws. Can you explain why you see these campaigns as necessary beyond political activism?
I mean, I think that if we look at history, like I love that you said a moral to resist unjust laws. I just recently was on a call with Women's March, and I like to find my North Star, my guiding star. And normally, like, it's a Black woman, but some reason I fell onto the Birmingham Letter by Martin Luther King, right? And in that, he's talking to a fellow clergy member. He was like, I would be the first one to tell you to follow just morally right laws, but I'm going to also be the first one to tell you not to follow that. So I think that that's important because, like, we've tried all the other ways. And we're about pushing it, doing the protest. Okay, we've been doing the mass mobilization. We've been doing that. Okay, you're not listening to us. Now we're getting to a point of like economic pressure. We need to put economic pressure. I think about what happened in Tampa and people literally going outside when there was a border patrol job fair and protesting, right? And I want to remind you, like, that's also about being in community, right? It's to show awareness, but it's about being in community with one another, getting to know each other so that you can build that infrastructure. And generally, like, our country was built on civil disobedience. People like to cherry pick what Martin Luther King said or like certain things that Malcolm X said, like on low key, right? Our opposition likes to pick what the nicest quotes are. But the reality is when they rode those buses, that was civil disobedience. When they sat at lunch counters, civil disobedience. When women marched on Washington for abortion rights, and they were doing a Jane network, civil disobedience. They were not abiding by these laws because they were unjust. And I don't know about anyone else. I have a 4 and a 6-year-old. I want to leave a better place. So that means I have to push the envelope. I have to get a little uncomfortable, and I'm here to do the uncomfortable things.
So for viewers that are listening right now, if they want to take action, what are the first steps that they can do to support this National Day of Action on January 31st and shut out ICE campaigns? Where can they go?
Yeah, so you can go to 5050.1 and check out more details about ICE there's like multiple different ones, like ICE Out for Good, shut down ICE. There will be a lot of information there. I also encourage you to talk to your local organizers. I'm really big on ecosystem checks. Check in with your ecosystem. Ask other people what they need as they mobilize for 131. Follow our Instagram and our Facebook, which is 5051, and I think 5051 movement on Facebook, or 50 Days, 50 Capitals one of those things. They're all confusing, right?
It's okay. It's a lot of numbers. It's a lot of words.
Yes. Please follow that. If you go to the 5050.1 website, it'll lead you to all the places, and get locally involved. Right now, there are tons of trainings. And the biggest thing you can do is education. They can't take education away from you. And if you don't have a local organization, by taking these trainings that everyone is putting out right now, you can start to build something in your community. And right now, we need to build community. We need to hold community. And that's why we're asking for everyone to mobilize on 131.
And I know we just have a few minutes left. You're extremely busy today, and I don't want to take up too much of your time, but would you like to speak a little bit to your work as Executive Director of Voices of Florida and Voices of Florida Fund, and how that sort of intersects with this ICE Out work?
I think that, we were founded for reproductive justice, but prior to that, I was with Black Lives Matter, my local chapter. And, for me, and I think my team, is that we see things in really black and white. What's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. That's how I was raised. I was raised in the Deep South, right? And when we see our neighbors being attacked, either our trans or our queer neighbors, our Black and brown neighbors, our immigrant neighbors, we feel like we have a duty and obligation to respond. So we have dropped panties on legislators' heads. They were really upset about that. And we dropped Florida abortion stories on their heads too. We've done civil disobedience. I got arrested just literally sitting in a circle outside of the Capitol against the 6-week abortion ban. We also advocate. We do hurricane relief. We do backpacks. Like, we believe that reproductive justice is all encompassing. So that means immigrant rights. That means black and brown lives. That means being able to feed your kid. That means affordability, right? That means being education. So oftentimes we always conflate reproductive justice with abortion, and I'm pro-abortion. Abortion when you want to, all the time. But reproductive justice isn't just about abortion. It's about being able to have a child in an environment that they can grow up and they can thrive. And it's also about not dying when you're giving birth.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And whenever I think of reproductive justice too, I always just think of this idea of bodily autonomy and the right to determine your own destiny, your own life's path. And you can't do that if you fundamentally don't have control over how and if and when you choose to have and bring a child into the world. And I think that factors so well into everything that we're talking about with ICE and with this anti-immigration movement, because this is about keeping families together, not tearing them apart. This is about having the opportunity to live a full and productive and healthy life in your community and being safe in that space. So Sarah Parker, thank you so much for taking some time to chat with me. I would love to have you on again to talk more about these issues and the things that connect and unite all of us. Everyone, if you're just joining me, I'm going to be putting a bunch of links to all of the places and spaces that she talked about, along with how you can contact your senator, because there is still time to let them know how you feel about them funding DHS. And hey, if we got to shut it down, then we shut it down. And until next time, everyone, please take care of yourselves and each other. Have a great night. Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you.